everyone, and welcome back to the Real Positive Girl podcast. My name is Sabrina. Happy Monday to you all. I hope that you had a fantastic weekend with much rest, excitement, productivity, and just overall happiness, especially during in my opinion, the most magical time of the year. Just so you know, this week we are talking about self-growth tips. And today, specifically Monday, we are going to be talking about learn to be happy for others. But before we jump into the episode, again, I want to welcome you and say happy Monday. I hope that your day is going well, whether it's just beginning, in the middle, or towards the end. And if you are experiencing a tough day, if you are going through difficult things, I encourage you to do the 5-minute reset, which is to take at least 5 minutes to be by yourself and allow yourself to take a break and a rest and just restart, reboot, reset your day right then and there. Because if you're having a hard day, a bad day, a day that you are just already over and maybe it's just begun, or you just want to draw a line in the sand and just forget the first part of the day and really focus in, hone on, and look forward to the rest of the day, a 5-minute reset is one of the best opportunities for you to do that. You can also take a break from any issues, burdens, or problems that are weighing you down and causing you trouble, and also take some time to come up with a resolution for any problems or issues that you are dealing with, whether that be by yourself or with other people. I always encourage everyone to come up with a list of at least 4 things that you are grateful as well. It can be big, small, medium-sized things. You can be grateful for being able to finally finish your Christmas shopping. You can be grateful that you are able to have extra money to do Christmas shopping this year. You can be grateful that you were able to spend time with friends this weekend, or you can be grateful that you were able to spend some time alone because you needed a breather. You can literally be grateful for anything, which makes the list never ending, and that's a beautiful thing. Last but not least, I encourage you to feel at least neutral, if not positive, about the rest of your day so that you can, continually enjoy it and be able to get through your life a lot easier. Because if you spend more time focusing on the positives and the blessings that you have in your life, i.e. the things that you listed in your gratitude list, it'll make it a lot easier to get through life, especially the hard, negative times. However, I do hope that you are having a fantastic day this Monday. Again, like I said at the top of the show, this week's topic is self-growth tips. I know that on Friday, I kind of gave you a sneak peek of things that I do want to talk about, like cognitive dissonance, cognitive dissonance, or I was going to talk about living in the present, but neither one of those really felt right. Usually when I choose a topic, and believe me, the reason I had those on my mind is because they were ones that I felt really strong about when I came up with some of my current ideas. However, it just felt a little heavy for this time of year, and I'm not saying we can't talk about serious things, because we are going to talk about some serious things, but I like to cater the content that I'm giving to the time of year, and I feel like it's a good time to be thinking about ways that you can grow yourself, as opposed to talking about, living in the present is amazing, but I feel like that topic would be better spent discussing once the new year rolls around, and cognitive dissonance is something that will be spoken about soon, eventually, but I just don't know when. It's just, I have to feel it. I have to be excited about it. I have to just, really want to talk about it, but that is just not yet. So anyway, this week we are going to be talking about self-growth tips, and I thought that would be the most helpful. Okay, and today, again, we are going to be talking about learn to be happy for others on this Monday. And let's go ahead and just jump right into the episode. For sure, learning to be happy for others is a major piece of self-growth, especially when you are miserable with everything going on around you and in your life. And it can be really tough, especially if you are going through a really hard, rough, tough season of your life and just experiencing really, really difficult things that you're not completely sure how to navigate. And even if you do have an idea of how to navigate those challenges, it can can still be really hard to tap into any happiness for others or even for yourself. So learning to be happy for others is one of those things that will give you a stronger mindset and free you from indulging in your insecurities as much as you would feeling envious and spiteful. It's so much easier to feel envious and feel spiteful when someone else's life is going great. They're, achieving things and receiving accolades and love and attention. And when you're over here not receiving those things or not going through those wonderful experiences, you're going through things that are much harder and generally done as a solo performance alone. It can really cause you to have those negative feelings of feeling envious and spiteful. But we can all admit that when things are going great for us, it's so much easier to celebrate what's going on for those around us because we are already happy, we're already feeling it. But when we are having a hard time in our lives, we don't want to be happy for others because we may feel it's unfair, it's hard to see past our own negative feelings, which generally can create a barrier and get in our way. Or it just points out how well someone else is doing and how much we aren't, which can really be like stabbing ourselves in the chest with our own knife on purpose, because it just feels so painful. It can also be against what we think we should do if competing to have the best life is something we are always gunning for. It's very interesting that a lot of people will live their lives always wanting to be better than the next person, always wanting to one up the next person because they feel like that is the best way for you to get ahead, to have the most admiration, to be loved the most, and it just keeps you on your toes per se. You don't want anyone to be better than you in the slightest. So those are definitely many different reasons why we just sometimes feel like we can't be happy for other people while they're excelling, especially when we're down, because we can also see it as them excelling and then feeling like they're kicking us while we're down, when really they're just over there, enjoying their life, living it up. And we don't want to acknowledge the fact that, they've probably gone through hard times while we're going through good times, or they're probably going through hard times while we're going through hard times. Like, everyone is up and down, left and right. It's not always the same, but it's much easier to call out those times when they're doing better than us, because that's when we feel at our lowest, and that's where we want to pinpoint everything negative as much as possible, because it's a lot easier than changing your mindset and perspective and being positive and being congratulatory and celebrating someone else's wins and successes. But I'm here to tell you that it is possible. It's possible to be happy for someone else while also navigating whatever tough situations you may be going through. And you might think, I know it's possible, but it's not fun. And I'm here to tell you that's true. It's not always fun, right? It can, and not a lot of things aren't fun. A lot of things are tough. A lot of things are not what we necessarily want to be a part of, what we want to even be involved with at all. But a lot of times we have to do hard things, and those things will make us stronger. And you can be happy for someone else while going through a hard time yourself. And something that will really help with this is changing your perspective of how to feel and what celebrating someone else's wins can teach you, because wouldn't you want someone else to still celebrate with you when you are doing well, despite what's going on in their life, right? So if you flip the script and turn the tables and ask yourself, like, well, what if they were doing the thing that I'm doing to them while I'm on top? Like, that wouldn't feel very good. Wouldn't you feel kind of disappointed in them? Well, think about what they're thinking of you, which you shouldn't use that to guide your entire life. But this, I feel like it's really important right now, because it just gives you that insight of like, okay, I need to be better because I want them to be better for me if that happens. So, it's super important. You got to change your perspective and mindset, and think about it, and also using their wins and their successes to really guide you and teach you and inspire you to also do your best. So Today I'm going to share with you 5 tips on how to be happy for others even when you are struggling to be happy with yourself. Tip number 1 is to see their wins as an inspiration. I had already mentioned this, but it's one of the easiest ways for you to be able to navigate getting through any sort of congratulatory celebration, whatever kind of experience, because instead of being jealous or envious and upset that they may have done something before you or better than you or gotten admiration for the same thing that you've done, but no one really acknowledged that you've done the same thing, whether it was better, the same, or worse. It is so much better. It's a much better choice for you to see their win as an inspiration. Use that as fuel for your own fire to try harder, to do better, to stay more focused. And I don't mean in a negative way, meaning you want to be better than them, just more so you need to use that fire to be better for yourself. And an example of this is the other day, I was feeling a little jealous of someone that I follow on social media. So there's a gal that I follow. She has a YouTube channel and she has an Instagram, and she recently started a podcast this year. And as you know, if you're not new here, I started this podcast in February, and I, share 5 episodes every single week. There have definitely been times where I took a couple weeks off here and there, but still pretty consistent. And I feel like I'm dedicated. I do the research. I take the time. I love this podcast. It's my baby. But what happened was that she had mentioned that that her podcast was in someone else's Spotify Wrapped, and previously she had mentioned that her podcast had hit over 100,000 downloads, and it really just pulled up some envy in me, because I was like, how is it that, I don't have those similar things happen to me when I started my podcast first, when I feel like and this is only my own view, and it could definitely not be true, but it feels like I put more time and energy into it because I produce more episodes, but also in the topic matter that we speak about is kind of similar, but not really, because hers is more very focused, chit chat, let's talk about whatever. Sometimes I'll have people on, and mine is very focused on advice and tips about mental health and becoming your best self, and very dialed into the style. So anyway, I was pretty upset for a little bit, and I reached out to someone and talked to someone about it, and about how I knew I was being unreasonable, but I was pretty upset because I was like, how are they leapfrogging over me when I feel like I've been doing so much more, yet they are accomplishing my dreams so much quicker than I am, right? My goal by the end of the year is to hit 10,000 downloads, yet they have less episodes out, and their podcast is a little bit more freestyle than mine, and they already have over 100,000 downloads. So anyway, I went into a little bit of a funk, but then I came out of it and realized that instead of being upset about that and wanting to hold a grudge, I need to also first realize that they have a bigger audience than me, and they had that from the jump, and I had no audience. So I am super grateful for how far I've come and how things are going, especially since I don't really know how to tell more people about this podcast because I don't have an audience. So I can understand some very specific reasons why I am not at the same place that she is in her podcasting. But I also was like, you know what? As opposed to sitting here and whining about it and being upset, I am going to do what I need to do to just become better at what I'm doing right now, and realize that the goals and wins that I'm going to have are still going to be different from hers, despite the fact that it's related, podcasts and talking about encouragement and stuff like that, motivation. It's going to be different, and I'm going to have different wins. And even if it takes me longer to get that many downloads, it's going to feel different. It's going to be different. I'm going to experience differently. And, it's going to feel different. It's going to be different. I'm going to experience differently. And, 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 I'm going to experience differently. it's just gonna be different, right? It's not gonna be the same. And that's the point. We all don't need to be shooting to be the same as someone else. And that I just turned it around into inspiration. I really did. And that I literally like dropped everything. And I think it was like 11 o'clock at night or something. And I filmed the YouTube video because I've been telling myself for weeks and months that I was going to start doing that on a consistent basis. And I hadn't been. So I just stopped and did that. And I edited that night and posted it. And then a couple days later, I did another one. And then tonight, after I record this episode, I'm going to do another one. And I'm just letting that fire burn, and realize I don't need to be upset about other people's wins and successes. No, I need to use it as inspiration. I need to see that they're putting in the time and the effort to do it. And yes, their availability might be a little bit wider than mine because I do work a full-time job Monday through Friday, but still I need to do the best that I can. I need to not waste so much time on the couch or not waste so much time just, doing random crap that I don't need to do. No, I need to spend more time picking up cool topics and doing more research and planning ahead even farther and filming more YouTube videos and taking the time to edit them and just get crap done so that I can hit those goals. So I went on and on about that because I'm very passionate about it. But yeah, you see their wins as an inspiration. Let it fuel that fire. Tip number 2 is to practice being mindful. So be in the present, live in the present. Don't dwell on the past and leave the future to when it needs to be addressed. So it's important for you to not dwell on the fact that someone else has, succeeded more than you or accomplished things that you want to accomplish in a quicker fashion. It's just, having a heyday and having a good time in their life when you're struggling, but you just need to spend more time living in the moment and realizing, okay, I'm in a different season of life. I am working on things in a different way. I have different struggles. I just need to focus on what I'm doing right now as opposed to harping on all the things that they have accomplished in the past and what I didn't accomplish in the past or all the things that prevented me from accomplishing what I wanted in the past. And then not worrying so much about the future because the future will come as it comes. And yes, you want to do a little bit of preparation, but if you spend all your time feeling anxious about the uncertainty of the future, then how are you really going to learn from what's happening right now, grow from what's happening right now, and enjoy what's happening right now? Because even if you are going through one of the hardest stages of your life, you're still gonna, that's even more reason for you to really zone in and focus on the things that you need to learn, the things that you need to take away from this time period. So when you do get into a time that's a little bit more easy breezy, you will have already learned those hard lessons, and that time will be even more easy breezy in theory. So just practice being mindful, really focusing in on the present, what's going on right now, and how you can fuel your fire right now to help you excel more in the future and feel fine and not as regretful of your past. Tip number 3 is to change the way you speak to yourself. So, you have friends, you have family, you have a partner, a spouse that is, someone that is excelling in their life, and you find it hard to be happy for them because you're over here and you're struggling and you feel like you're doing your best and it's still not working, and you struggle to want to make any changes because they'll be harder or more difficult and uncomfortable. And with those times, especially if the other person is super happy, it's so hard. It's so hard to see people that are so happy. Especially, I feel like this might be a little bit of a detour, but I feel like it's hard to see people when they're super happy, when they're going through hard stuff, right? So I'm sure that you've met someone that is going through a hard time. It's a little bit difficult. Maybe they're going through relationship troubles, or maybe they've lost someone in their life, like for a death or some other way, or they lost their job, or they're financially strapped, or they're just going through it, right? But they're happy, they're joyful, they're content. There's times where they're down, but there's more times where they're up. And that's even harder to see because if you're down and they're down, but they're finding joy in the times that they're down and you are having trouble doing that, that's even worse because then you're like, wow, it seems like we're both on the same level, but they're still enjoying their life more than me, right? So that's when you need to take some time to really change the way that you're speaking to yourself. Because the reason why you think that you are having a harder time is because you're not thinking the way that they're thinking. I don't know exactly how they're thinking, nor will you, but you need to tell yourself, okay, it's a hard time right now, but I'm going to get through it. I'm going to be able to push through. I'm going to learn so much crap from this, and I'm going to be great, and I'm going to be stronger for it, and I'm going to be able to look back on this day sometime down the future, maybe the near future, and know that it wasn't all for nothing, and that it really taught me this, that, and the other, and I was able to pull through and demonstrate that to myself, and better, brighter days are to come. And maybe those are the things that person is telling themselves, or maybe they're just, continually having faith that God is going to pull them through this hard time. Are you having those same thoughts? This might be hard for you to accept, but I don't think that you're having those same thoughts if you're feeling negative about your situation constantly, right? If you have true faith, you're going to feel at least neutral. And I feel like really, really strong faith, you're not going to be positive all the time, but you're going to feel good. You're going to have some joy in your heart. You're going to feel like, okay, this is where I'm at. That's fine. But I know where I'm going, and I'm going to work hard to get through this so I can get to that, right? So you're not like harping on the future, but you're looking forward to it and you're working your way towards it. So you have to change the way you speak to yourself. You have to be positive about yourself. You have to tell yourself you're going to get through it. You have to tell yourself that you have to keep trying. Don't give up. You can fail a million times, but you never know when that next time that you try will be a success, that you'll kill it, that you'll be amazing, right? You got to keep going. You got to encourage yourself. You got to pick yourself back up, and you got to figure out ways to remotivate yourself when you run out of steam, when you run out of energy, when you feel like you're running out of time. You have to change the way that you speak to yourself. Tip number 4 is to stop comparing yourself to someone else's season. So I definitely wanted to make sure I mentioned, and very quickly, that you can't compare yourself to someone else, because it's not fair. We're all created differently. We all have our special things. We're all very specific in what we do. And even if that seems like it looks identical to someone else, it's not, because the way that you're thinking about it is different than the way that they're thinking about it, and the way that you're going to go about it in your mind is different from the way that they're going about it in their mind. Maybe they have more assistance. Maybe you don't have any assistance. Maybe you're coming up with better ideas than they are. Maybe you're not. Maybe you have to put more time and energy into it. Maybe you have some, disabilities and struggles that you have to navigate through. That will make you stronger over time. But very more specifically, you cannot compare yourself to someone else's season of life. And I've mentioned this before, and I like to mention it a lot because it really helps me, and I'm sure it helps someone else. But because it's a problem that I have. But you have to realize that even if someone is the same age as you, has the same kids, been married the same amount of time, has the same amount of money, and same type of home, and same type of career and goals, everything seems identical. But their season of life is still different, because you don't always know everything. You don't know their inner struggles. You don't know if they're depressed or dealing with anxiety or other mental illnesses that are really holding them back, or really pushing them to try so much harder so they can be at that spot that they are, that it seems like you are too, right? And no one else knows what you're going through either. You can definitely be as open and transparent and authentic as you want, but there's still going to be things that you're going to keep back for yourself. There's going to be things that other people are going to keep back for themselves, especially if you are admiring and comparing yourself to someone on social media. Like, without a shadow of a doubt, there's going to be things that don't share, because everyone says that social media is a highlight reel, and I do believe that, obviously. But I also believe that a lot of people can be transparent and authentic. I try really hard to be, but it doesn't mean that every little thing is going to be shared, and that's fine. It's not the way that it's supposed to be. So I want you to understand that you can't compare yourself to someone else's season of life, because even if everything seems identical, there's still a different season of life, and they're still going to accomplish things quicker or slower at the same pace, but they're going to have to go about it different ways. So you have to understand that maybe it looks identical, but it's definitely going to be like one of those puzzles where you have to circle the things that are different. Okay, and there's going to be things that are different. And just because you can't see them from the surface level doesn't mean they aren't there deeply. So just understand that to learn to be happy for other people, you have to learn to not compare yourself to their season, because their season might be harder or easier and yours might be harder or easier. It just depends. We're all at a different part, and we're all going to excel at a different rate, and we're all going to learn at a different rate, and we're all going to just be at a different spot. Tip number 5, and the last tip I'm going to share with you today, is to accept your feelings and move forward with a plan of action. So if you are feeling jealous or envious of someone else, that's fine. I mean, it's not the greatest feelings, but they are feelings, and they are valid no matter what you're feeling. If you're feeling angry about it, disappointed, super envious, you feel like it's unfair, okay. Like, acknowledge that you are having those feelings, that they're coming out. Maybe if you understand what triggered them, where they're rooted, and how they're making you feel, and what kind of actions they are pushing you to take. Okay, acknowledge all of that. Accept your feelings. Accept that that's what you're feeling right now. But after that, you can't just live in those feelings forever. There's a difference between acknowledging your feelings and then living in your feelings. So you can acknowledge them and be like, this is the way that I feel, but I need to change. It's just like when I was telling you before, how I was upset about this girl, feeling like she leapfrogged me, but I was very self-aware to understand that I was being unreasonable about the way that I was feeling. I was validating that I had those feelings, but they're unreasonable, and I needed to work on a way to get over how I was feeling and move forward. And that's what you need to do too. Accept your feelings, acknowledge them, but understand that you have to move forward. You have to become stronger from that, and you have to learn from that, and then figure out a way to move forward with a plan of action. So I understand that it will take some people longer, and depending on the situation, it could take you longer to get over certain emotions and feelings. That's fine, but create a plan of action. You're like, okay, well, tomorrow I want to start thinking a little bit more positively about how I can work on myself. And next week, I want to start with my action plan part 1 about how I'm going to become my better self, and how I'm not going to continuously compare myself, and how I am going to figure out the right path and journey for myself to be able to succeed and win my goals just like this other person is, right? You need to focus in on yourself, figure out a plan of action for you to succeed, and have those moments where you're celebrated, and where congratulations are coming in, and you're feeling really good about where you're at in life. But if you just sit in those negative feelings and always feel like resentful and want to enact some sort of pain and hurting and bring someone else down to your own level, you're not going to be able to move forward, and you're not going to be able to succeed at what you want to do, because you're so hyper-focused on making that other person feel as miserable as you are right now. And then even when you do get them down to that point where they're feeling super duper miserable, then what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Like, just sit on them and then try to rise to the top? No, because they're probably going to fight back too. Or they're going to fade away, and then you're not really going to have any inspiration for you to continue to push through, because you just took someone down, and now there's no competition. There's no inspiration. So I just encourage you, don't do that. Accept your feelings, and then move forward with a plan of action. Okay, guys, that's it. That's all I have for you. Thank you so much for listening to the Real Positive Girl podcast. Again, my name is Sabrina. I really hope that you've enjoyed this episode, and I encourage you to share it with other people. And hopefully you'll come back tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going to be talking about forgive and let go, because that is definitely another way that we can self-grow for sure. Check the description box for notes for the show, where you can find me on Instagram, and my email address for any questions, comments, concerns, prayer requests, topic suggestions, feedback, or just to say hey, hi, hello to me. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for listening, downloading, sharing. I super duper appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.